So when we last left our heroes, they were traveling into a cave in Mount Fuji that looked suspiciously like another cave, way up in the North Pole, that they went through at the end of Season 1. Fighting monsters that suspiciously looked like the monsters that were killing off the Sailor Scouts while they were fighting their way through that cave way back at the end of Season 1. This obviously has Usagi in a bit of a twist.
And then the Green Goblin flies in from off screen.
Yeah. Which I can't super empathize with because I like the manga version, the Crystal version of Arc 1 just a little bit better. But like, we're doing this like old school style, Final Fantasy style, like the Four Fiends, where they just sort of attack as random enemies when you step on certain squares. So, earlier in this playthrough, though, I talked about how, like, the game was easy and a bit mindless, and that has been true up to this point. And it will remain true until after we've killed Queen Beryl again. After that point, the game just spikes and goes from 0 to Shin Megami Tensei for no apparent reason.
Ouch.
So, things are going to get a bit challenging. And as a result, we're going to start seeing a little bit more in the way of characters getting knocked out and status effects actually sticking when they try to hit me with them.
It's a good thing we got all those alarm clocks.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to come in handy.
Just have a wagon of alarm clocks being pulled behind them.
The main issue that arises with this is that the difficulty spike occurs once you start being able to select your party members yourself and just pick whoever you want to be in your party. Unfortunately, this also happens at the moment Sailor Pluto shows up, and Sailor Pluto is one of the most useful party members in the game. Like everyone else, she's not at level with you when she joins, and you have to manually, like, switch in the other party members to level them up.
That's if she's a Pokemon. Send out Sailor Pluto, retreat Sailor Pluto, send out Sailor Moon.
Switching party members in this game requires going back to the place where all your other party members are currently based and talking to someone to get the party member selection menu to pop up. It's very old school in this case, despite the fact that everyone does have a communicator. There's no PHS here, so
well, they can talk to each other. They can't teleport wherever they want.
Ironically, they can. There is a Sailor teleport spell. They use it several times during this game, but not for party member switching, unfortunately. There are 2 party members that you should never be without in this game, though, and those are Sailor Mercury and Sailor Pluto. Sailor Mercury, because Bubble Spray is just a ridiculously good attack debuff that never goes away and only needs to be cast once. And Sailor Pluto, because she literally has the ability to stop time for 3 turns for your enemies. It doesn't always stick, but it sticks more often than it doesn't. So, yeah. Unfortunately, it takes all 12 of her action points. So, go to the item store and just buy all the cologne. All of it.
Get loads of cologne.
You can smell real husky after the battle.
Oh, yeah.
The cologne item is straight up the best item in the game because it refills your entire party's action points all the way to their full 12.
Nice.
So, yeah. That and perfume are the best items. I'm not sure if I found an item shop that sells perfume, though. Cologne, you can buy in quite a few item shops. I'll have to see about perfume. But perfume raises your entire party's attack points. So, yeah, go Seto Kaiba on them. God damn it, Chibi Moon. One thing that I'm starting to realize about the formation system in this game, though, is that it kind of makes the party members at the back sort of useless a lot of the time, unless they're on full support. So,
well, I mean, you could always put, Mercury and Pluto in the back because they're going to be doing the debuff and time stop mostly.
Yeah, that is what I end up doing. But the problem with that is that Sailor Mercury only needs to use the debuffs at the beginning on, like, 1 or 2 people, so she spends her first 1 or 2 turns using bubble spray.
I mean, as we established in her boss fight, she's not exactly strong to begin with anyway, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, but it leaves her with, like, no offensive capabilities to help the others, and because of the way I wound up running this next part of the game, the entire main 5 ended up being my upper level party, whereas the outer Senshi were lagging behind. It would have been really useful to have Sailor Mercury be able to attack worth a damn during that segment. Because, spoilers, even the random battles start to get pretty time-consuming by the end of this game. It's like the game tries to have the same difficulty curve as a Final Fantasy or a Dragon Quest in about a third of the runtime. So, the game is good, but even with the Grind Be Gone mod installed, I can see it being a bit of a grind.
Still very grindy.
I'm not really sure why this is how they designed the curve. Maybe it's just because they were used to RPGs being like that at the time.
Yeah.
But for now, we're still
Splash!
in relatively comfortable territory, thankfully. Ironically, because these are the monsters that killed all the Sailor Scouts. I was reading, like, a top 10 list of the most emotional moments in the 90s anime. And, like, I think the end of Season 1 only ranked second to the end of Season 5.
Oh, wow.
So... And, both of those moments involved literally all the other Sailor Scouts besides Sailor Moon dying, so... yeah, that happened twice. Don't ask me how that happens twice in one series, but...
I mean,
It
Dragon
does.
Ball Z.
I mean, it made a little bit of sense at the end of Season 5 when it happened in the manga. Because, like, the battle is taking place in, like, the Galaxy Cauldron where all the stars are born. Literally, the ending of Super Mario Galaxy is a ripoff of the ending of Sailor Moon. And I didn't know this until I read Season 5. Arc 5, rather, in the manga. Because, like, it's... The whole Galaxy Reset, Rosalina being a giant and talking all epic at you, is literally Sailor Cosmos. And I'm like... Okay, well, that was a thing. I didn't know Mario dipped into the magical girl genre, but okay.
I mean, what's more awkward? Mario ripping off Sailor Moon or in-universe Batman knowing what Sailor Moon is?
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, like, in-universe stories know what other pop culture things are all the time, so that's not really surprising.
Yeah, but Batman knows what Sailor Moon is.
Batman knows what everyone is. He's a detective.
He's Batman.
He's already fought a supervillain who's obsessed with Alice in Wonderland. At some point, he just knows he's going to face off with a supervillain who thinks she's a magical girl. So, in fact, that's probably going to happen. Like, sooner rather than later.
That seems more like something Dick or Tim would deal with than Batman, but sure.
No, Batman would probably be called in to help at some point.
Yeah.
Or at least to provide intel. You know, the
Possibly.
man's just infinitely prepared. It's why he can take down Superman. But you know, like, I was just kind of like floored by the fact that's where Galaxy's ending came from. I always thought it was a bit oddly epic for Mario, but yeah. Oof. Good old 16-bit monster sprites, always making it hard to tell what the details on the monsters are. What
They're
the hell
also
is
like 3 times taller than your characters.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on with that lady's forehead? I can't tell because there's too few pixels. Is it a hammerhead shark kind of thing? Is it like just a really big forehead? I don't know.
Those were the double D go.
Now, much to my surprise, killing Queen Beryl here is not the end of Beryl's involvement in this story, because of course, this is Sailor Moon, and at some point we were going to travel into the past and the distant future, because Sailor Moon is just, like, soaked to the brim with time travel.
Yes.
Sailor Moon Generations, where she must team up with her Deke dub counterpart.
And because the 90s anime never went into the backstory of Beryl and the Four Generals much, we actually get to go back in time and go into the backstory of Beryl and the Four Generals, because that, as far as the 90s show is concerned, that was uncharted territory that they had a lot of material for. So, to my utter shock, and I haven't gotten very far into this section as yet, to my utter shock, we're actually going to be revisiting all the areas that the four Sailor Scouts visited in the past, and it turns out, like, all these weird villages and all these weird locations were actually, like, still around 1,000 years ago. I mean, that was obviously the case for Sailor Venus's area and maybe Sailor Mars, but even that weird village in the national park. Now, at this point, I'm like, oh no, it's a dead end. I don't see anywhere to go. Oh no, where am I supposed to go? Get used to that, because it becomes a pretty, like, common thing from this point onward. It turns out, like, where you're supposed to go...
Oh my goodness. Help me, Luna P!
...is something that you can see if you just walk closer to the top wall. Because, like... I caught a glimpse
briefly there.
Yeah,
I saw it briefly there, but, like, there's just a fake wall at one point right here.
Oh.
And it's hard to see unless you walk close enough to see what's on the other side and see those seam lines running through it. But because the areas are so big, there's a very good chance that you won't walk close to that wall until, like, you've exhausted all other options. That's how these areas get you. They make you run around a lot so that you run into random battles. I don't even want to think about what this was like with the normal encounter rate.
Oh my goodness. Insanely grindy.
Well, it's like... I like it, but at the same time, old school encounter rates were an aspect of old school RPGs that I did not miss. Oh, hi, Beryl.
Funny seeing you here.
You're just standing there.
Ooh.
No dramatic throne room?
I'm waiting for you, Sailor Soldiers. Wait, there's more of you now.
I'm sorry, Princess Serenity. We only had the budget for a few hallways.
This is all kind of last second. I didn't have time to prepare anything, so...
There seems to be a lot of that going around in this game. One of the things that I definitely do not like about Another Story is the laziness on display in the area design. It tends to be just like a bunch of really big open areas connected by a bunch of hallways where the random battles happen. And putting it bluntly, that's the kind of design that makes me hate a lot of modern games. And here it is on display in a 16-bit game where it absolutely did not need to happen.
How you change formation?
Yeah, I switched over to cluster because that puts 2 people up front.
Makes sense.
It turns out that Sailor Saturn's Death Reborn Revolution actually does a decent amount of damage when she's up front and properly leveled. So, yeah.
I know Beryl's sprite is supposed to be, all intimidating with, like, the billowing hair magic and stuff, but it's not like, because it's static, it just looks like she used a lot of hairspray to get it up like
It
that.
does look kind of
It just looks like she walked in out of a Beetlejuice cartoon.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So, at this point I was trying to figure out whether link attacks are single party member attacks were stronger, and it turns out, like, it's really neither. It actually has to do with, like, where the characters are in the formation and how many, like, skill points you want them each to use, because the cost of a link attack displays as lower, but it's actually, like, spent, both characters in the link attack spend the same number of points. So when you use deep shaking, for example, with the cousins up there, they both spend 2 points. So if you use it twice in the same turn, they both end up spending 4 points. And that can end up being a bit weaker than if you just had one of them use their 6-point spell. It's going to be a little while before I catch on to this and actually just start having Uranus use her 6-point spell again. How should I know?
I mean, we are kind of in the middle of nowhere.
That's not what a magnetic field does, Luna. Magnets work on metal. Come on.
Chef, these are mostly teenage girls. They won't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
See me after class.
They won't question me.
And now we're dipping into some anime-only territory again, because in the manga, Queen Beryl didn't transform into this super form. Instead, the main bad guy was literally just Queen Metalia, this amorphous energy thing that was kind of just like all-powerful and evil and needed to be sealed away or destroyed. Which in the end is what
Oof.
Oh no.
One shot.
Cutscene battles, gotta love them. Oh, come on. You got the outer Senshi here with you. One of them can end the solar system. You have your super forms. 2 of them. Come on.
This would be like if Raditz came back and suddenly owned the party in the Boost Saga.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, at the end of every arc, the Sailor Soldiers get, like, an upgrade. That should theoretically render the villains of the previous arc kind of obsolete. And this is implied to continue on into the future, like the distant future. But, like,
Not a fight again.
At least we actually get to kill the monsters in this, because I was a bit tired of just constantly healing them with love.
It brings us love. Kill it.
Take this.
I mean, sure, in the manga and Crystal, she still attacks with giant heart attacks, but, like, they disintegrate the monsters, so that's a badass Valentine's card, you gotta admit.
Holy grail.
And I remember what happened to you in the manga now. You got stabbed through the heart by Venus, didn't you? That's what happened. Literally with a sword, Queen Beryl gets stabbed through the chest. They kind of gave that role to Asagi and Crystal because Venus had literally just popped out of nowhere, and like it would have been narratively awkward to give her a role that important at the end of season 1, but anyway, Beryl's whole shtick was that she was insanely jealous of Princess Serenity because Princess Serenity, you know, had captured Prince Endymion's heart, and she got it into her genius head here that the solution to this problem was to consort with the sealed Queen of Evil, Metalia, the evil amorphous energy thing that was obviously no good. So yeah, that's why that all went to shit the way it did.
All this over Tuxedo Mask, really.
Well, you know, in the manga, he was actually worth some amount of fuss because he wasn't a useless rose-throwing sack of trash in the manga. But, you know. The anime has this whole subplot where Prince Endymion transforms into Tuxedo Mask without knowing it at first, because his transformations are tied to Sailor Moon's. But in the manga,
I just imagined him just accidentally somehow going into the bathroom and changing into a tuxedo and walking out, not knowing what happened.
In the manga, he's literally wearing the tuxedo the first time Usagi runs into him outside a jewelry store. And her first thought is like, who wears a tuxedo in the middle of the day? And he's just some guy who dresses up in a tuxedo like a phantom thief because he robs jewelry stores trying to find this silver crystal. Because a princess has been asking for it in his dreams. That's Tuxedo Mask in a nutshell. He just sort of runs into Usagi by coincidence and gives her some encouragement from behind the scenes because he doesn't have superpowers. He can't fight the monsters. So he sort of snaps her out of a crying fit, and that's all he does for that battle. But when he makes his escape, and for some reason his hat is always falling off when he's drawn in the manga. I'm not really sure why, but it's hilarious.
He just has like a closet full of hats.
When he makes his escape, he says that he won't soon forget what he saw here, and that's the beginning of that. But, like, the season is 2 volumes long, so he doesn't have a lot of time to be useless. And then in the second arc, he develops some superpowers of his own because he remembers being the prince now. I'm not really sure why it's called Tuxedo La Smoking Bomber. The author of this manga should not be allowed to name attacks.
Oh my gosh.
But he does gain some like special attacks that he can fight monsters with and takes an active part in the battle from that point onward. But for some reason in the anime, he only ever throws roses. Okay. Oh no, dramatic betrayal.
You're not me.
It's not Sailor Moon.
So opposite of sin. So what's the opposite of the Spider-Man symbol?
I
Final
don't
Fantasy X reference.
I don't know.
The Venom
Scorpion
symbol?
Maybe.
Venom?
Maybe.
Green Goblin symbol?
Mm.
The DC logo?
That'd be a close one, honestly.
Someone's probably modded something like that into Final Fantasy X HD by now. Now, the Batman symbol. Obviously, it's the Batman symbol.
Awesome.
Complete with the yellow background from the old days.
Excellent.
No.
Back to Tokyo.
I like how Uranus has nothing to do during this scene
I'm
and
just
isn't
gonna
all
stand over
touchy-feely
here.
like the others, so she's just sort of standing in the background, saying nothing.
Luna, why are you talking to me about this? Says Uranus. Oh, you're like his P-Bat. P-Bat.
Aw.